She's going to
I don't have my timer. I have to go get it.
Okay.
1001, 1002.
She's got blue lips from your cake. Okay, my name is Deborah Fidel, and I live at 297 Kruger Road. This is the fourth town meeting I have attended to voice concerns about the unsafe resident and pedestrian road conditions on Kruger Road. After speaking with close to 400 residents that reside on Kruger Road and the surrounding 11 roads that begin, end, or cross Kruger Road, Kelly Duger and I have come to the realization that there is definitely a problem with road safety. Ryan Fisher's death not only touched the lives of family and friends, but also so many residents that signed our Kruger Road safety petition shared that they also have fears for themselves and their children when walking, jogging, or biking on Kruger Road. Again, I will repeat the premise of our SOS distress petition is that Kruger Road is unique compared to other roads in Wheatfield due to the high volume of traffic as it is the connecting road between Niagara Falls Boulevard and Ward Road, whereby there are 3 stop signs on one side of the road and 5 stop signs on the other side of the road to enforce the 30-mile-per-hour speed limit. There are 2 businesses, Pelicanos Market and Roselle Construction, St. Johnsburg Fire Hall and many fire hall activities, a children's playground, NFT bus stop at Kruger and Ward Road, and also 11 roads that begin, cross, or end on Kruger Road. After Kelly Duger, Deborah Litton, Louise DeFelice, Catherine Lance, and I spoke at the Town of Wheatfield meeting on June 8th, Mr. Cliff requested that we need to share concerns and problem solve. Why don't you?
Okay. After 2 meetings, we all agreed to move forward to request that the Town of Wheatfield Board consider these initial steps to begin to address the dangerous conditions on Kruger Road. Our first request is that the open Kruger roadside ditch where Ryan's accident occurred be filled with sewer pipes and covered with stone and soil to allow for some type of walking area next to the very narrow shoulder that presently exists. Our second request is to ask the board to provide funds to allow Timothy Zuber, the Town of Wheatfield engineer, to complete a survey of Kruger Road that would provide a proposal cost for 2 options to address the pre-existing unsafe conditions. The first option would be to place sidewalks on one side of Kruger Road. The second option would be to extend shoulders on both sides of the road. Myself, Catherine Lance, and I would like to thank Mr. Cliff, myself, Catherine Lance, and Debbie Fidel would like to thank Mr. Cliff for taking time to place efforts toward improving road safety. We feel these beginning steps will provide the foundation to move forward to make Kruger Road safe for all residents and pedestrians.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. After our meeting, there are a couple of things that we have done. I got a hold of Paul today. Paul did take a look at the extent of the roadway that would need pipe, and that was 860 feet?
About 860 feet.
And he figures somewhere in the range of $10,000 worth of pipe, stone, and other materials to be able to do it if we can get to it ourselves. If we have to bid it out, then it would be more expensive. So it would be up to the town board, and it would be up to Paul as to whether we would proceed with that. We also did talk to Tim Zuber. Tim Zuber did give us a price this afternoon. It is in writing. The board hasn't seen it yet. They just got it tonight. And that would be $3,700. And basically that's a proposal to come up with a price, to find out which is the best and most cost-effective way to add safety to that road. Would it be a sidewalk? Would it be shoulders? Or something else? The town board also would have to approve that $3,700 proposal before they can proceed. Even if they proceed, it's not something that's going to happen right away. It will take a little while to get there. The reason we need that proposal is that you folks want to proceed on to a referendum or whatever we want to call it, where the people in the Kruger Road area, that whole feeder area for Kruger Road, would participate in either adding sidewalks or adding things on the road for their own safety, for the safety of the residents in that area. Bob can explain more about how a special district would be organized, but basically we have to give the people in that area the opportunity of voting yes or no, and if there is a sufficient quantity to go ahead with that, they would end up paying for it. The town can build it, the town can bond it, and then charge it back as a tax. And it could be as little as $30 a year per home. It might be more, depends upon what the proposal looks like. When I look at it myself, and I'm certainly not an expert, if we have to widen the roads, we then have to move all the mailboxes, we have to move several poles, we might have to make some changes with things that are down in the ground, and we would have drainage, we would have to move some drainage or pipe it in. That's why sidewalks might be the better way. Sidewalks are more intrusive on public. They're more intrusive on the people that own the property. You're coming farther up onto their property, but it might be cheaper in the end. So if the town board is willing to fund that proposal, we could take the next step towards possibly putting out a referendum. It's far from done, but it would be the next step. We do have a 4-person team working on this at this point, and it's the 3 of us, as well as Kath Lance. It would be nice if we had more. It would be nice if we had a few more people. Even somebody who doesn't want it would be handy to have, because we need to know that. We need to know the objections to proceeding. So at least I'm willing to sit and talk to anybody about it, whatever the view is. But as we proceed towards possibly having a referendum in a special district, we need a solid number. If the board is interested in doing that tonight and approving this $3,700, we can do that tonight. If the board isn't, we can wait till next meeting and see what the feeling is after the board has a chance to ask questions. That's probably more likely.
Okay.
And on the $10,000 to fill in the ditch, Paul, maybe you could give us your thinking as to what that would actually do. Part of the problem there is there's a short walkway, and you go right into, if you step off the road, you're right in the ditch.
What we do is fill that ditch in. We're not gonna probably use dirt, we'll probably use stone. Some millings on the top, make it more like a shoulder. I don't wanna fill it full of dirt, because if we do end up widening the road in the future, I gotta dig all that out. If I got stone there, it's already set. We also have to put some drain lines, so we don't end up flooding the field out. The yard or field is a lot lower than that road. If we pipe that whole ditch in, there's a good chance of making that a pond.
Did you happen to have a chance to talk to the homeowner as to whether it would be a problem for them?
Not yet. I was waiting to see how you guys were gonna proceed with it. I wasn't gonna, he's 95 years old, I wasn't gonna get him all worked up over nothing unless you guys were sure you were gonna do something.
Okay, so that is a second proposal for the board. If the board is willing, Catherine is talking about this could be part of the $57,000 that the county gave to us as casino money. That she came in with a nice big check not too long ago, that it could come from those monies, and it can.
I spoke to I emailed Jeff Glass, the county manager, and I thought I would have had an answer by 5 o'clock today, but by tomorrow morning we'll know.
Okay, I do believe that's general fund money. It can be used for this project.
I wanted it in writing.
Maybe I should explain the process that has to be done to create a special district or a special improvement area. There's actually 2 alternative processes. The first, under Article 12 of the town law, is to have a petition of area residents requesting the formation of a special district. An alternative procedure is under Article 12A of the town law that would allow the town board to create a special district or special improvement area, and that would be subject to a permissive referendum. So if people in the district decided they didn't want to have that district, it could be defeated. And again, the same with or approved. Either way. There's a couple of things that I think to keep in mind. One, you have to determine the extent of the special district, what are the geographical areas, and there's some findings that the town board would have to to make after that determination was made. One that everyone within the district benefits and everyone that benefits is within the district. And there's some other procedural things that have to be done, but basically those are the two options, either by petition, and the petition can't just be we want sidewalks or we want shoulders. It has to be sort of specific in terms of, and there has to be an understanding when people sign it as to what the cost is going to be. And then regardless of what procedure is followed, the Office of the State Comptroller has to approve it as well. That's a relatively recent change with the revisions to the tax cap stuff. So the Comptroller has to pass on it before it can actually officially happen. So it is a process.
In other words, it doesn't happen real fast.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So, does the board want to act on this tonight, or do you need time to think about it?
In your, talking about a special district, are we just talking about Kruger Road residents would share the cost of this through taxes? Or in your mind, what you guys are coming up with, is it gonna be all the side streets and residents near down Ward Road and the Boulevard too, or what are we talking?
Well,
We were thinking Kruger Road and those smaller feeder streets.
All the side streets off of
All
Kruger
the
would-
side streets that use Kruger
Would
as
be
their
taxed.
access road, right? Not Ward
Nash.
or Nash.
just those other roads.
Those roads would be the stopping,
residents
the
on-
stopping line,
Right.
but all that Kruger Road community, excluding Nash and Ward and the Boulevard, those would be the boundaries.
Because that's where we had all the concerns from. We were shocked at how many people have concerns about their children and themselves walking or even driving. They have to swerve way around to avoid hitting someone. So it's not just the pedestrians walking, biking, jogging, pot walking, it's also the drivers themselves.
I'm just trying to get a feel for who's gonna share the cost of it.
Right,
Well-
yeah. Like I had shared with Bob before that when we were petitioning, a majority of the upset neighbors were on the side streets. We weren't just getting a signature and moving on. We were on their
Venting,
porch
yeah.
for 5 to 10 minutes while they vented how angry they are, and this should have been done a long time ago before it got so populated, and public safety needs to come first. So it's not just Kruger Road residents that are concerned, it's our whole community that uses Kruger Road,
Because it's
which is why we were going for the district.
And it's not rural back there. It's like a little city. It's like by the Summit Park Mall too. That's a little city back there. We, and where Bob lives, I lived in Brook Oaks, that's rural. On the other side of the boulevard, we have a lot of residents, a lot of kids.
Did most of the residents sort of seem eager in paying for it?
We
That you
didn't talk,
talked to?
we spoke of grants in the beginning, and we asked Bob if he could pursue that. We're trying to pursue grant money too for pedestrian safety. So we're looking into that too. We're not just saying it's tax money. We're trying to fund this ourselves too by searching and researching.
But even when we did ask for a signature and they gave one, they'd say, well, hang on, let me grab my wife, or you want me to call my
Yeah.
mom? It's like we're just doing one household because we didn't know if we were doing it correctly, per taxpayer, per household. So we tried to get one signature per house.
So we probably would have had double the signatures.
Yeah, but we
I
just-
kept saying, I don't know if we're doing this right. Just one person per taxpayer, one per resident.
So we did bring up the taxpayer part of it, but we also said, we are trying to look at a possible grant. If there is some sort of public safety grant available, we would, try and apply for it.
Yeah, I think it's also important to note that Debbie has spoken with Thomas Insina. He is the head of the DOT safety personnel, and he has said that he's willing to come out, either he or his people are willing to come out and sit down with our engineer, our highway, or us, and talk about what they think might be the best ways to improve. So possibly as part of a proposal for Wendell that they could have DOT involved in that. More to come.
We got a couple of things
Okay.
out there. I think the first thing is the piping of that ditch. We own that ditch. That's town property, right? So you say you have to talk to the neighbor, what, other than putting yard drains, maybe to relieve some of his water, why would he get all upset if we pipe our property?
95, I don't know why you get upset.
Well, we spoke to his daughter, we didn't speak to him.
Reserves the right to know.
No, I understand that, it's not like should stop us.
No, but I gotta tell him.
And when we spoke to her, she spoke for him. She was gonna go back and speak to him when we originally went for the petition, because we didn't even speak to him.
My other question is, with the shoulders on Kruger, I know you've talked to a lot of the side streets. Are the people on Kruger that are gonna get a sidewalk on town property in front of their house, are they all on board with this and widening the shoulders, or is this coming more from the side feeder streets? Because I just wonder how the people on Kruger
They want
proper feel about this.
Yeah, I think there were maybe two houses on Kruger that weren't sure if they wanted their yard touched.
Yeah.
Out of all the homes that we
We
had on
didn't-
Kruger, there was two.
And we did not speak of sidewalks. Originally, Mr. Cliff said the shoulders would be more reasonable, so our petition stated widening and the shoulders themselves, and people were okay with it.
I'll say one more thing. 20, 30 years ago, we built all these houses. I was just a resident over on Lockport Road. A lot of negative impacts for subdivisions. Now, maybe they weren't so negative.
Okay, I'll once again ask the board, if anybody wish to move on this tonight, do you want time to think about it and possibly come back on the two proposals next week, or 2 weeks from now? What is it, July 13th?
I'm in favor of the piping of the ditch, if we have the money.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we go ahead and improve this ditch, as Paul had suggested, at an estimated cost of $10,000 with the town doing the work. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Another question.
Go ahead.
We're gonna use stone now, right, Paul? Not dirt, not soil, stone.
We might have to put dirt on the very edge to act as a barrier, but no, we're gonna mostly use stone and widen shoulder for.
Would it make, just one more question, would it make sense to put some sort of a receiver on top of those pipes? If you're concerned in that area, where that guy's property is, maybe put like, I don't know.
Have to.
That pricing you could include in that.
That would be part of it?
Yeah, we have, I think we put 6 feeders coming, 800 feet going out towards that field to collect that water.
Okay.
Yeah, Paul, go ahead.
I just have one question. There's still open ditch on Kruger Road besides that. And there's one gentleman that just bought his pipe and just got it installed this year. Who do I tell him to call? Which one of you guys? Because I know he's gonna be yelling at me.
That's probably something we should talk about, but right now, this is gonna be about all we can handle for the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Still have discussion on the motion.
Yep.
Do we need to put in there that we need an easement or permission from the property owner,
I think we already have that. I think it's it is a...
Paul said he still to talk to
Well,
him?
we
No, it's in
gotta
the right
talk
of
to
way.
He just wants to let them know what we're doing.
Kruger Road has a,
Pending permission or anything.
yeah, Kruger Road has a narrow right-of-way. It's a narrow road, if I recall. But I do believe we're talking about building in our right-of-way. That we can do this, we can force this, but you still wanna have the permission of the homeowner. And Bob may be 95, but he's still pretty darn sharp. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Anything further on the question? If nothing further, then all in favor of proceeding with this project signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Paul, you got your kit go. Okay, on the second project for the proposal, do we want time to think about that, or does somebody wish to move on that? $3,700, yeah, you guys have not had a chance to read it. We probably should put that off for the time being.
I just got it.
But it's $3,700 to come up with a plan and a price for that plan. We're not talking design. This is strictly, essentially doing a review of the area and determining a possible plan and how much it would cost for that plan.
And that is a mandatory precursor to formation of a special district. It's called formally a map plan and report. That has to be done before any special district can be formed anyway.
Okay, do we want to do this week, or do we need some time, gentlemen?
I'd like to look at it a little bit, I just got it.
Makes sense. Okay, then let's put that off until our next meeting. That'll give you time enough to look at it. Tim, if you have anything to add in the meantime, please feel free to add it. We do have minutes, gentlemen, from the June 8th meeting. Does anybody wish to move those minutes in for, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Anybody else want to speak? Okay, sorry, Julie. There's probably others as well.
Good evening. I just wanted to ask a couple quick questions. First of all, is the hearing still scheduled for this week, June 25th at 9, Quasar versus Town of Wheatfield?
All set to go, yep.
So that's at Niagara Falls
Judge Caruso's chambers, courtroom. I think
courtroom, right?
think he's on, yes, it'll be in the courtroom. I think he's on the second floor.
Okay. And then the second thing is, I wanted to find out regarding the Ag and Markets letter that you received. I think it was dated May 1st or May 3rd. Was a response received after our attorney, Mr. Ricca, replied to their reply, asking for another 30 days? And where does that stand?
There's been absolutely no response from Ag and Markets.
So does that mean that we have the 30 days, or they've accepted our response, or?
Well, they don't have they really don't have a much of a letter that makes a definitive determination, in my view.
That's what I thought too.
They basically say, well, it might violate, but then, maybe there's sufficient basis. It's not a determination, in my opinion.
Well, and also, when I read the information, the one letter to the farmer in Marilla was signed by the commissioner, and the letter that we received was actually signed by a director. It wasn't signed by the commissioner. So I thought that was, a point of difference. But at the same point, they said, we want a response in 30 days, and our response...
we gave them a response.
But we asked for their document.
Time. That's a response.
Okay, so we haven't heard back from them.
We have not heard back.
So they haven't said, okay, they haven't made a decision. Okay, and then the next thing I wanted to know is, last meeting, Mr. Wozniak presented the technical report from the EPA. I just wondered, was that turned over to our environmental consultant and environmental attorney?
Actually, I checked with them. I asked them if they wanted me to send it to them. They'd already had it.
Perfect.
And not only did they already have it, but it's also it was actually referred to in the in our environmental secret paperwork. So it was it had been referred to.
Okay, great. And then a few meetings ago, I asked about the Quasar self-regulating. They have to tell the DEC exactly what has been put in that tank. I wanted to know if you've requested those manifests from the DEC, and to see what's been put in the tank and if you've received them.
I have not. I don't know whether our building inspector has or not. He's not here today.
Okay. All right. So that's still a question. All right. And then I just wanted to ask, I read through the proposals for tonight. Is the $500,000 bond for Fairmont, is that the same one that we have to do the matching funds for the $350,000 grant? So we're borrowing the money so that we can match the funds that we were given?
Under the way it works, there's bands and there's bonds.
Mm-hmm.
A band is a bond anticipation note, a bond is an actual serial
Mm-hmm.
bond. You issue a band for what you think to be the maximum amount of the whole project.
Okay.
You do the work, you pay your bills, and then the next year you receive back from the state the 50% reimbursement. So ideally, if we're at $450,000 or $60,000,
Mm-hmm.
which is about where the project was last time I looked at it,
Mm-hmm.
you borrow $500,000 as a band. It goes into our capital fund.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes available to pay only those bills, only the things related to
Right.
that specific project. You pay off for that project, you get money back, and then when the project's done and you've paid,
Mm-hmm.
You've gotten your money back from the state, you have a certain amount left over. Ideally, it would be half of what we spent.
Mm-hmm.
So $230,000 would then be bonded, spread out over time.
Right. And then, so then we would give the okay, I understand. But what was
you don't bond the entire $460,000.
Right.
You actually create a band, And 2 or 3 years down the road, when everything is said and done, you can see where your financial picture is on that project, and you do a serial bond for the last, so let's say 18 years
Sure.
of that to spread it out.
So how much was the grant that we received? Like, wasn't there a cap on the grant?
It's a 50% grant with a cap of $350,000
Okay, that's where the
state
350,
fund, so
okay.
we could go to $700,000. We chose as a board, we thought that that project was too large for us to handle, and we chose to cut it down.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Sure. Brian?
Yeah, I got a comment. You brought up a very interesting point about Quasar being self-regulated. Did DEC require them to become ISO certified? Are they ISO certified? That's what we should find out.
I don't know, but I doubt the DEC would require it. That would be a business decision.
Because when I worked for General Motors for 51 years, we had a lot of certification to self-regulate, even with OSHA. We had to become certified by the ISO standards.
But that was a business decision of General Motors.
No, that was a business decision of what OSHA's requirement was, the regulation was that if you self-regulate yourself, we monitor certain people from the union, certain people from the company, they have to become ISO certified. Even when it comes to statistical analysis, for that product to leave the plant, international community required an ISO certification. And the point is Quasar ISO certified?
I do not know.
I think we should find out, because if they aren't, whatever they do is not acceptable in the community, business or otherwise, or government-wise. I put 51 years in with General Motors. Before we could statistically self-certify our products, we used to have inspectors come in from the international community and check every one of us to see if we're doing it the right way. I don't think Quasar should be given special privileges that they should be going after for their ISO certification. It's a law.
Is that on the internet?
It's in the law. For that product, because then you're cold, to the degree of anything happening. If I check the product every 3 months, the international communities come in there and say, let me check your computer, John. Let me see how you're doing it. Let's see how you're doing the frequencies of the statistical process if it's within the rules and regulations. And I'll lay my life on it that they got to be ISO certified.
I don't know whether they are. They may very well be.
I'm just bringing up the point that we should look into it.
I doubt they have to be required to.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Brian?
Hello. Just wanted to follow up, we sit here and we listen to these people and what they're going through, and basically the situation that, evolved over, 20 years, I think you're saying, Randy, right? Where basically the south side of the boulevard was overpopulated. And I'm sure that there was a bunch of good intended people sitting up there doing your job back then, and they were presented studies that said, no impact, no problem. Everything will be safe. Don't worry about it, right? In the best interest, it'll increase the tax rolls of the town, right? It's all good. It's all good. Don't worry. Nothing bad could possibly happen, right? And so now what are we hearing? Something bad did happen. Little by little, incrementally, right? So now you start talking about money, right? Who's going to pay for this? Well, I mean, one of the people that are around our cause talks about trying to do the right thing. So what is the right thing at this point? At this point, the toothpaste is already out of the tube, right? The situation created, the people became millionaires, and now these people are left holding the bag, right? So just putting it out there that, these things are far better dealt with when they're in process and stopped than after the fact. And I know you guys know that. But here we are, right? My cause, right? Cobblestone, trying to do the same thing on the north side. In my opinion, just common sense would dictate that it's just irresponsible to overpopulate Eric Road. We do this traffic study that says there'll be no impact. And then, Bob, you're talking to me and you say, well, it's a bad situation, and it'll still be a bad situation. I mean, come on. Do you want to tell them that?
It is a bad situation.
It is a bad situation. And adding 40 more houses is going to exacerbate that, and I'm sure somebody's getting paid to write a study that says it'll all be fine. Shame on anybody who does that. And then anyone believes that. And then I hear, well, you know what? You better buy that property because I don't know if we have anything to do to stop it. Well, let's think about a couple things Drew said. Drew doesn't work for me. Works for you guys, right? He said, all the good land is taken. Everything that's going to be brought to you guys is going to be of questionable substance, right? They're all things you're going to have to look at, right? We've talked about this before. And what did he also said? He also said that every one of you guys has free will in deciding what's right. So no group think, right? You'll have a choice. You don't have to defer to an engineer. You know, it's all common sense. And so I'm hoping, you know, I hate to even talk about this around such a serious thing, but you're looking at what will happen on Eric Road in 15 years if you guys let cobblestone go through. So, thank you.
John, we looked it up on the internet. According to what's on the screen here in front of me, Quasar is ISO certified 9001 and 2008. Quality system auditing and registered.
All right, gotta bring it up.
Understand, and we wanted to look it up to find out.
That's it, Brian? Is there anybody who does wish to speak? Sir?
Is there a possibility the town could get the state of New York to do a study on Shawnee Road in regard to some traffic signals to slow down the cars?
Can you come up to the mic? It's important.
I thought I was loud enough. I didn't.
Well, we can hear you, but it is taped and
Okay.
it's put out there as a podcast, and people who look at podcasts can't hear you.
Is it possible the town could get the state of New York to do a study on some traffic signals on Shawnee Road?
Where would you put the signals?
Well, with all these subdivisions going in, it's a terrible thing for some of them to come off of the side streets. You got Clemmer Road, you got Concord, you got Nottingwood, you've got Spice Creek, and what else do you have down the way? Pardon me?
Loveland, Sluzeric,
Right there.
and Hill.
I mean, I travel that road just about every day. And yesterday, my neighbor just got clocked right in front of my driveway trying to turn onto Concord.
Yeah, well,
If you could. I don't know if you can do it or not, but the speed, I don't care if they tell you it's 50 miles an hour, they're doing at least 60, 65, 70.
Easily. We have no control over that, but what we can do is we can ask them to do a search. The same gentleman, Tom Insena, that we talked about before, is the person responsible for that. We could do a motion asking them to take a look at it and determine whether signals would be beneficial. For example, the corner where Loveland and Moyer, that's a pretty bad spot. Trying to take a left-hand turn out of Moyer is a challenge.
Yep. Any of those streets coming off trying to make a left-hand turn, I see cars dodging all over the place. Because they don't want to slow down.
Yep.
They don't use courtesy.
We could do a motion now. We did a motion similar to that on River Road. Out in North Tonawanda, it's 40, and then it used to go to 55, and then into Wheatfield, it was 45. Well, we wanted ours lowered, but they lowered North Tonawanda's down to 45, so at least they have a constant 45. You're not leaving the 40 miles an hour by recreational warehouse and speeding up to 55, and they have to gear it down to get back to 45. So the state's tough, but if Bob wants to make a motion, I'm sure we'll support it right now, Bob.
Okay, I will support the motion that we ask DOT to prepare a study as to whether additional lights would make Shawnee Road more safe.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, one more. How about the pardon me?
We got to vote on this first.
Oh.
Anything further on the question? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's approved.
How about the gas lines going out toward Pendleton? When is that gonna start?
Larry actually has the best handle. He attended the first meeting. I've had a couple of meetings with people in my office having to do with that. I don't know, Larry, do you want to address that?
A little bit about, what's going on in Pendleton and Wheatfield. They've had two meetings, one last August, and they've had another one here in May, and, it was like May 22nd, somewhere around the middle of May. And, the FERC comment period was supposed to end on, May 29th. They had 300-plus people at Wendellville Fire Company, close to 400. It was standing room only, and there were so many cars parked and people standing outside. I think they only had 300 and some people inside, and they probably had another 100 people or more standing outside. All Pendleton residents. There was probably just a handful of Wheatfield residents, but I was there representing the town of Wheatfield. After that meeting, Senator Schumer and Gildebrand and Congressman Collins were all contacted. And I think the next morning or within a week, I think the Buffalo News had something in it that Schumer and Gildebrand both said they got FERC to extend their comment period 30 more days. So that's coming up. So you have until the end of June to get your comments in. Chris Collins also is on board in writing letters in our support to, extend that comment period. But there's a lot going on in that pipeline. And the Buffalo News Sunday paper, they had a 2-page article in there, and mostly all in Pendleton. But I'll read you one paragraph here. Thanks for bringing it up. One of the I forget the gentleman's name from National Fuel. And this is National Fuel talking. We certainly heard loud and clear, find a spot that's appropriately zoned, he said. We don't think we've missed too many of those possibilities, and frankly, there aren't really any zone manufacturing or industrial areas in the town of Pendleton. You gotta listen to this next sentence. There are some limited sites in the town of Wheatfield, and we're going to explore those sort of options. So where Pendleton fought this thing very dearly, and they had really good, you can't say not in my backyard. You need scientific evidence like John Wozniak brings to the table for Quasar. He does his homework and gives all the scientific stuff that, he dances numbers around, but you need that type of scientific information. Pendleton brought it to the table, and now, according to what I'm reading in the Buffalo paper, this thing could be moved to an industrial or commercial area, which Pendleton's saying they don't have any. Now, we have the dehydration station that was scheduled to be in the flight of Niagara Falls Airport, and that got moved. Supervisor Cliff fought that fight because it didn't make sense to put that 30-foot tower that was going to be basically full of natural gas, taking all the moisture out of it, and if there was ever an airplane disaster that landed too short of the runway, it would have taken out that dehydration. So they moved that out of the flight path. Now it's I think going off of Liberty Drive somewhere. We don't know. I mean, at this meeting they have 3 locations and they're all tentative. None of them were final locations for the dehydration. And now what I'm reading in the paper, we're going to have to get the Wheatfield residents writing. Not only the Nottingwood residents that had that incident 3 years ago, where the one lady exiting her house at 2 o'clock in the morning, fell down her stairs, broke her ankle, getting her kids out of the house because there's a pipeline in her backyard that's about ready to explode. It didn't explode, it was ruptured, and it sounded like a jet engine in their backyard. But the fire companies were there, evacuated the whole neighborhood at 2 in the morning. They weren't allowed to go back into their houses until 10 o'clock that next morning.
I know, because that's right across the street from me.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about running pipe. They had it all marked up. Now I see some of the markings are gone. I see some of the markings on my side of Shawnee.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they're going.
We know right now that what their plan is that the existing 16-inch pipe that's on the south side of Nottingwood that comes out to Shawnee and then goes from Shawnee up to the abandoned railroad bed near Clemmer. they're gonna lift and lay, the 16-inch pipe with 24-inch pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And, essentially, they need to make the pipe bigger, more than 50% bigger, to accommodate more gas and more pressure. And they've already had and this, you know where the valves are in the pipeline.
Yep.
It's 50 feet to 60 feet behind, the houses that are on Nottingwood.
Yeah, and they put a wood fence around it to make it look pretty.
Yeah. It's, that's
I mean,
a
you're
bad
talking a
situa-
24-inch pipe against a 16-inch.
Yeah.
If there's ever a disaster, it's gonna blow houses right off the ground.
Now, town board's doing everything we can, but we really, you know, the residents have to get on board. You have to write, your congressmen, senators. There's basically 3 people to write there, but FERC is the deciding power, and they're gonna be making this decision sometime after the end of June.
Okay. Good enough, thank you. Thank you very much.
Go ahead, Walt.
Hi, Wally Fryer. I was at the meeting about the gas company when they came here. And they're just gonna make this pipe bigger so they can make more money pumping it to Canada. Fracking gas from down south. On our backs.
Right.
Let them do their own navigation somewhere else. They don't have to disturb us doing that. They're going right through people's yards. I mean, what's going on here? Aren't you guys gonna watch out for the town?
The pipeline was in the ground before the subdivision was there, and now they are expanding the size of the pipeline. The pipeline's already there. They're not putting a new pipeline in, and they're upgrading.
Pipeline is there at 16 inches. They wanna take it out and put 24 inches, only so they have the capacity to pump it to Canada.
Right.
Where they're gonna make megabucks. I mean, you guys shouldn't be doing this for Canada. We're Wheatfield, aren't we? And another thing I'm a little upset about is this Kruger Road thing gonna be put on these people's backs? It's a town project. Are they gonna be paying the bill? Is that what you're talking about, a separate?
That is one of the things that we have been talking about, is a possibility of going to a special district.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Thank you.
This is Wheatfield. Are you gonna come down Barrow Road where I live and charge me for every little thing you do? To make it safe so a kid can do something, so a kid doesn't get killed? I mean, think about what these people are talking about.
What would you do, Walt?
What would I do? I would do the right thing.
Okay, which is what?
And which is fix this road the way it should be fixed. It should have been done when they allowed all of them subdivisions in.
Okay.
That road should have been made big enough to handle 3 lanes highway. I don't care how you do it, it's gotta get done right. Or there's no sense doing it.
The very next morning after our last meeting, when I went to the Summit Club, one of the first people I saw there told me, oh, by the way, if you do Kruger Road, the next one is Jago. Within a day, knocking on doors trying to get signatures, I had somebody say, well, you are gonna do Shawnee Road next, right? If we start the process of sidewalks at the expense of the town, it's going to be $500,000, $1 million, $2 million a year for years and years.
They're not even talking about sidewalks, just shoulders. I mean, the road is only 28 foot wide.
Mm-hmm. But that's true for...
28 foot wide if they're collecting garbage.
That's true for every road that the town owns.
No, there's some that are bigger. I've been measuring roads. I go out with my tape and I measure them. I got them down on a map. I know how big they are.
But the ones
Kruger Road is really, should have been bigger along. All the little side roads are 3 lane. I mean, what are we talking about? It's like trying to put all that traffic in a small funnel. It ain't gonna work.
Yeah, that's why we want to do a study. That's why Debbie and Kelly and I were talking about, and Catherine was involved in doing a study to find out if it is less expensive to do sides, widen the road versus sidewalks. At first thought, it seems like it would be simple to do that, but I think when you actually take a look at it, it's going to be cheaper to put sidewalks in. That's
Well, no matter what you think, you're gonna go by what they say, no matter what.
Not necessarily, but we need.
We're gonna go the cheapest route?
We need to know what the dollars
Or
are.
we're gonna do the right thing.
Right. We are going to do the right thing. That's all we do. It's not always agreeable to
I
everybody.
hope you
We
people
can't make
vote that,
everybody
put it
agree.
in the paper, that are gonna do the right thing. But we'll follow up on it, see if it's done right. Got a lot of problems in town. They can all be solved by just doing the right thing.
Okay.
We're putting $430,000 into a $3 million road maintenance thing. I mean,
Okay, thank you, Walt.
yes, think about it. This Kruger Road should be redone right, just like they did the boulevard, the same thing. You're tying into Ward Road, you got all them people there.
All right, Walt, I think your 3 minutes are up. I'm gonna have to ask you to...
Oh.
Okay, thank you. And no, I don't have a watch. Anybody else on any subject? Okay, then we will move on. We'll go to where I was before. That's the minutes of the June 8th meeting. Does anybody wish to move those in for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Gil, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Art. Anything on the question? All in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved. We do have a bill pay. The bill pay is $440,203.46. Voucher numbers 2015-955 through 1,118. Does anybody wish to move these in for payment?
So moved.
Moved by Larry. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. Anything on the question? Any bills anybody wishes to hold? If not, all in favor of paying signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. Paul, anything else going on in highway?
Not much, we got our new chipper, so we're out using that, working very nice. Just received our Bobcats, and we will start doing some of those paving coming up here. I got a schedule with the county. We do have one issue with that though, the county's big paver's still broken down. We may end up having to rent a paver. Because their small one is not big enough to do some of the roads.
Yeah. How much does it cost to rent a paver?
I was talking to Tom Niagara the other day, and he said it costs me $1,500 a day.
A day?
A day.
Okay.
Mine was almost $400,000, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, anything for Paul? Thank you. Rich?
Yeah, I'd like permission to put a used liftgate on Auctions International, also a copy machine that was replaced. List them both out on Auctions International and see what we can get out of them. The liftgate came off of originally a 1990 truck. It was rehabbed to fit on a 1996 truck, and in order to fit the newer vehicles, it would have to be rehabbed again, and it's getting out of its useful life for us, so.
How old is the copier?
Copier is close to 15 years old.
Okay. I'll go ahead and make the motion then to declare that material surplus and put it up for auction.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anything further on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Go ahead.
Last Friday, I had a nice day off, and about 2:30 in the afternoon, I got called from my deputy and said, I think you might want to come back into work. Okay. Went out to Lockport Road near Town Line Road, and the county was doing a great job of paving out there. Had the one side done, they came back down the other side, had that big vibratory roller going out there, pushed a rock right down through the water main that crosses Lockport Road. By the time I got out there, my guys had the water shut down, but the one lane, actually in the traffic lane, eastbound lane, was just blown right apart. So after finally digging the road up, getting through the original blacktop they put down a few years ago, we did make the repair, and with the help of all these guys, Jamie came out and looked at it. We were able to get stone in there and actually get some hot blacktop to put in there, so it didn't hold up until they can go back and make a full repair on the road itself.
Is the county going to do that repair?
Yes, they're gonna mill it out and
property.
repair on that. We did the best we could with what we had for the weekend. It's lasted up until now.
Now, it looked to me like you didn't dig up the lawn at all. It looks like it was just the roadway?
The water main actually runs on an angle across Lockport Road from the corner of Town Line. The road was moved years ago, from what I've been told, and it cuts right on an angle across Lockport Road. We had an issue there a few years ago when they put the water line in. They did make a repair out of the road also.
Okay. Nice mess. You are gonna send Dave a bill for that, to get it repaired, I assume?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I make payments.
Also, the fire hydrant I reported last meeting, Walmore Road, that was hit by a car. It took us 2 weeks to get repair parts for it, but it is back in service now, and the bill has gone out to damaging part. That's all I have.
Anything for Rich? Thank you. Mike, Recreation.
Hello? Okay.
There you go.
Just one thing to report tonight. We had the fishing derby on Saturday. I want to thank Arlene for coming out, Councilman Doucette, Gerbeck, Helwig, Supervisor Cliff. It was a fun event. We had over 55 seniors and youth come out, which is like double what we had last year. I just want to add, there was a couple of notables. Eric Weber caught a 13-inch catfish. Joanne McGregor was our oldest to catch a fish at 79 years young. Haley Garlock, who's 15 years old, caught 16 fish. And our youngest to catch a fish was Joey Doucette, 3 years old. He caught 3.
Not me, my grandson.
That's all I got to say.
Yeah, it was a good time. A perfect day for it. Absolutely
Yeah, it was.
perfect. Anything for Mike? You're getting ready for summer camp, I assume, right?
Couple weeks. Ready to go.
Arlene, we're up to you.
We're on a mini vacation right now.
Are we?
The community center, we are in it, so we're just relaxing, and we had a lot of fun up at the fishing derby. They tried to get me to use my team to catch a fish, but I told them no. Mike did a great job. Food was good, they cooked an awful lot of hot dogs.
It was a nice group. Let me ask this. Are the seniors looking to have an assistant leader, or is that not going to happen? You're good the way you are?
The board and myself.
Okay.
I will let you know, but I don't think so.
Okay. Anything for Arlene? Thank you. We're up to Wendell. Tim or Tim?
Thank you. We have 2 items on our agenda this evening. The first is our planning board report, and due to the schedule of meetings last month, we actually have 3 meetings to go through with you tonight, so I'll go quickly. The first meeting was May 20th, and the first item on that agenda was a site plan from Timothy Hannon. The applicant proposes to construct a 2,400 square foot building on the existing lot at 3448 Niagara Falls Boulevard. The new building would be just east of the existing dental office building. A small building was previously at that same location but was torn down several years ago. The building's intended use is for professional offices. The planning board recommended a variance from the ZBA for the front yard setback in this case. The setback has been established by the surrounding buildings. The planning board also recommended the town board a variance from the parking requirements based on the understanding that the existing medical practice and patients are by appointment only. No other action was taken that night. We'll talk about that one again in a few minutes. The next item on the agenda was another site plan for the River Road Mobile Home Park. The applicant proposes to redevelop the existing mobile home park located at 2013 River Road. The project originally came before the planning board in the spring of 2011, but the applicant did not complete the site plan process at that time. The project will require waivers and several variances from the town board as currently shown in the plans. The applicant was advised to consult with the town attorney for the waivers and variances being sought. No other action was taken that night. Last item on May 20th agenda was the major subdivision / rezoning sketch plan for what was called the Nash Road subdivision. The applicant requests the rezoning of a parcel located on Nash Road just north of the Sterling House and Clare Bridge facilities from Part R2 in the front and Part AR in the back to all R2. Based on that rezoning and an R2 dual plat, the applicant proposes to construct a new cluster development with approximately 128 units. The planning board will verify the density calculation procedure with the town attorney. The applicant was advised of several items and issues to review prior to their next submittal. No action was required or taken. The next meeting was on June 3rd, and the first item on that agenda was again the River Road Mobile Home Park. The planning board pretty much continued going through the resubmitted material from the previous meeting and advised the applicant to consult with the New York State DOT to discuss possible safety concerns with a reduced setback from River Road and possible alternatives or improvements to that configuration. No action was taken. The next item was a site plan for MD Wood Products. The applicant in this case proposes to construct a 60-foot by 72-foot pole barn addition to the existing building at 2050 Lockport Road. The structure would be used for storage of the wood shipping crates which are currently built in the existing building. A negative declaration under seeker was approved by the planning board and they subsequently approved the site plan. The next item was a site plan for the Empire Pipeline meter and regulator station. The applicant proposes to construct a new meter and regulator station on land that will be acquired from Gregory Allen. The facility will be located on the east side of Walmore Road, approximately across from Corey Drive and north of the railroad tracks. The station itself would be constructed on a 150 by 150 foot stone pad and would include a filter separator, a meter building, a heater, a regulator building, an odorant building, and a control building. These buildings are all on the order of 8 by 12. The site would be accessed from a stone road from Walmore Road. A public information meeting was scheduled for the June 17th meeting at 6:30 p.m. No other action was taken that evening. The third meeting was on June 17th, and the first item on that meeting was the public information meeting for the Empire Pipeline. There are approximately 15 people in attendance, in addition to the planning board members and the representatives there from Empire. And basically, after the public information meeting was closed, the applicant was advised of, again, several items to address in their next submittal. No action was taken again that night. The next item was a rezoning for 3939 Niagara Falls Boulevard, and that is for the Adventure Speedway. The applicant in this case requests rezoning of a parcel located at 3939 Niagara Falls Boulevard from R2, R3, and C1 to all C1. The planning board recommended that the building department verify the existing and historical zoning of the parcel. If the mapping is incorrect, the planning board requests that the town allow the map correction. If the mapping is correct, the planning board recommended in favor of rezoning the request for C1 for the entire property. No other action was taken. The final item on the June 17th agenda was again a site plan for Timothy Hannon again. And the applicant changed their building slightly as now a 2,200 square foot building as opposed to a 2,400 square foot building. The planning board had previously recommended their variance from the ZBA for the front yard setback, but they also updated their previous variance recommendation to the town board from the parking requirements as they are short 16 spots. And we'll have more on that in our next agenda item, but that is the end of our planning board summary. Are there any questions? It's a lot to cover.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else?
Well, the second and last item on our agenda has to deal with the dental facility that we were just talking about, Mr. Hannon. And I have to correct my agenda item. I have the wrong address on here. I have 6448. It's really 3448. Excuse me. But as I said, the planning board recommended approval of that variance to the town board, as variances to the parking requirements are approvable by the town board, not the ZBA. The applicant did provide a letter outlining their request and what the differences in parking are and their justifications for that. We passed a copy of that along for you. And I believe the applicant is here if the town board has any questions on that.
That is for the parking variance that you're talking about now.
That is correct. Due to the
Why does a parking variance come here instead of ZBA?
It's actually in the town,
parking.
it's actually in the town
Code
code.
item?
It's in chapter 200-59 of the town code. I don't know why it was written like that, but that's how it is.
Can you tell us specifically what the changes were?
Well, the dental office usually requires 3 spaces per office and 3 spaces per examination room. And the applicant has said that in all their history there, they've never had more than 8 people parked outside their building. The parking code, based on the room that they have available there, would require around 27. So they're putting in their new building, and that requires its own parking. I believe it requires 15 spaces. So when you combine the 2 buildings that are on the same lot, they fall short of what the straight out of the code parking requirements are for those types of buildings.
Does that take into account employees as well? On their
I believe it does.
Yes?
Yes.
Have we got a site plan? I've not seen a site plan yet. I didn't make that meeting, so I'm not sure.
I don't have one handy, but I could get you a copy if you'd like to see it.
There is a site plan.
Yes.
So, Tim, are we building a building right on top of the parking lot? Is that what it is?
There was a 3,000 square foot building there prior. That structure was unsound and we knocked down in the process of all this.
How do you get to that building right behind your building?
Right now, there's plenty of room everywhere. And on the site plan that we get you, you'll see that there's plenty of room to go.
Is it going to be a hardship if we have a chance to look at that site plan and don't act on this tonight?
No, not at all.
So we could act on this next meeting?
I have one question on that.
Go ahead.
What happens down the road if it's a dentist office now that?
Yes.
And so because of the way you're using the building for the current business, what happens if you sell that business and then they put in something else that is going to need more office space or more, parking spots? What happens? I mean, not that it's going to be a dentist office building for 50 years, but say, 10 years from now it's something else. And then that new owner comes into us and say, I don't have enough room to park all my people.
A change of use requires a resubmittal of a site plan. So if they were to change the use, this would kind of go through the process again. If they wanted to change it to, a different type of use, those parking counts will be reanalyzed, and they may not be applicable to that same type of variance that you're gathering now without having that backup.
Does the current shortage of parking affect handicap parking? All the handicap parking is there?
Well, my preference it would be to wait until the next meeting so we have a chance to see it ourselves. Since we're being asked to make the decision, I'd like to actually take a look at the site plan. I know your site, I'm familiar with it. Anybody want to make a motion, or do we want to let this go until the next meeting?
Well, I would like to look at it also.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the best way for us to go. Then unless somebody wishes to make a motion, we'll put this off until the next meeting, Tim. Is there anything else?
Yes.
Go ahead, Larry.
The River Road Trailer Park, it goes from A all the way up to GG. I don't know how many, it looks like there's about 40 or more stipulations on that trailer park. Some of them are saying they need a variance to do this, they need a waiver to do this, they need a town board to prove something that the ZBA doesn't, so there's a lot of stipulations on here. When is this thing actually going to be brought before us?
As soon as they resubmit something. We don't have any new revised submittals.
The one big issue I saw initially with this is they were too close to River Road. They had these trailers, the snow plows come down. We have another winter like we did. I mean, these snow plows are going to be taking out windows. I mean, they were so close to River Road, and when these state DOT snowplow guys plow, they're not like Wheatfield, they take their time and they're real careful not to wipe out mailboxes. These guys go down River Road and they fly, and that snow is gonna, I think there was, are they doing anything to get away from being too close to the road?
Well, there are a couple important safety concerns, and that's one of them, is their requested variance from that setback. And one of the requests that the planning board had is that they discuss that with the DOT. We want to see what the DOT's concerns are. There are several of the variances that would be needed for that I don't think the planning board is sold on yet. So they're still asking for more information, and actually a revised layout was one of the other things that they asked for, to see just what they could get on the site if they did honor the actual required setback distance from there.
Okay.
And they have actually modified the site several times. It was up in the 40s for a while. It's down to 33 on the current, right?
I believe so, 33.
Yeah, I do have a copy of that in my office. If any of the members want to take a look at it, it's available to see where we are right now. But I only have the one page. I don't have everything.
Do you have a copy you can email us, Tim?
I do not.
I could scan it and email it.
That'd be good. Somebody had a question back there.
Okay, thank you.
I think that property came in front of the ZBA a few years back on the number of parcels on that, which maybe you want to check into that, Tim. I do not recall exactly what it was, but it did come in front of our board.
I believe one of the things they subsequently determined is that a lot of the variances that they came to the ZBA for are actually variances that have to be approved by the town board.
Okay, thank you, Tim. We'll move on to motions, Bob.
All right, the first motion is premature, so the seeker motion for the agricultural master plan will not be presented to this evening. The next motion, I guess it's really up to the board. The agricultural master plan at some point can and should be accepted by the town board, but there's a couple of procedural things that have to be done first. One of those is to have approval by the Niagara County Agricultural Bureau. I'm not sure I've got the name exactly right, but there's an agricultural bureau in Niagara County that has to approve, and the town also has to have a public hearing. I did have a motion to set a public hearing date, which if the board wants to, it can set that public hearing, or you could hold on that too. It's up to you.
Is it being submitted to the county?
It's already been submitted to the county. It's already been reviewed in June. It's going to go before them again in their July meeting. So and all indications are that the county will approve it, so this would keep the process moving forward.
Is it worth our while to table it until we find out if they're going to approve it?
It's up to the board. I don't think there's any urgency. You can hold it, or you could schedule a public hearing. It's really the board's preference.
We're going to get the plan out to all the farmers and people that farm in the town within the next couple of weeks. So I would like to have them all to be able to review it, and then at that point schedule a public hearing.
All right, so
They should be reading it, but chances are they haven't been in Kathy's office reading it. So we're going to try to get it out to them.
Push it back then and
So I think we
table
should
it?
let them look at it.
Okay.
Because they're the ones that will be affecting for the most part, and their opinion counts.
All right, fine. Next motion is seeker motion for the Fairmont Park improvements, basically designating the town board as lead agency for the project and the financing of the project, to make a determination that this is an unlisted action, and that based upon review of the seeker file compiled by Mike Clock and review of the short form environmental assessment form, to make a determination that the actions would not likely have a significant impact on the environment. And that's required that's required to be passed prior to the bond resolution.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Gil. Do we have a second?
Second on the question.
Second by Larry. Go ahead.
Earlier when you were talking, Bob, I think you you're answering some questions about the usefulness, life, or how long we were gonna be taking out the bond for. This, on section 3, says that the purpose is 5 years. I mean, is that the usefulness, affordable?
That again would be the ban. Jump in anytime if I'm wrong, but I think that is the maximum length of the bond anticipation note prior to serializing.
That's the maximum life of the security bond also.
Okay, so we would be paying back whatever we borrow in 5 years.
In 5 years, correct.
Okay,
Less whatever we get reimbursed.
Can that be extended? 5 years.
And if the
seems-
reimbursement is held up, what happens then?
Then you're still,
Yeah, part of the problem, as I understand it, with this type of grant, the town actually has to prepay, make the payment, and then get reimbursed.
Mhm.
But we do have a contract with the state that requires that reimbursement to occur.
sort of like our recycling barrels, we still haven't
I was
been
gonna
paid for
bring that up,
those.
too.
I think we're 4 years into that, purchase. Okay, anything else, Larry?
No.
Anything else, anybody? If not, then all in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
The next is the actual bond resolution. I'm not going to read it because it's 3 pages long, but basically it's authorizing the issuance of the bond, and it is subject to a estoppel period, a permissive referendum.
I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion for the bond resolution. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. Ed, you reviewed this. Any problems that you see with this?
No, I see no problem.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion is seek a resolution for the proposed amendment to the town's electronic sign law, and again, a further negative declaration.
Declare us as the sign law.
Declaring the town board is declared as lead agency. I think I missed a word. Actually, I think I missed a couple words. As lead agency for a proposed amendment.
Okay, for us to be lead agency makes a lot of sense. I'll go ahead and I'll do that motion as well.
Second.
Second by Larry. Anything on the question? Doesn't mean we're necessarily making the change at this point. This is just,
That's right. You don't necessarily have to pass the next resolution.
so we have, this is us in charge of the secret.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
All right, the next motion, which you may or may not want to act on, is the adoption of the revised electronic message device portion of the Town of Wheatfield sign law. It was basically the same there are a couple of changes to what the sign law was proposed last time. One, we removed the terms LED because electronic message device is a defined term. We deleted hours of operation. One of the things that was brought up in the public hearing was electronic signs in districts other than commercial areas were required to turn the signs off between, I forget what it was, 10 at night and 6 in the morning. This just requires them to dim the signs as in the commercial districts. Also, a provision that where there is a corner lot, there could be one, or there could be 2 electronic message devices, one on each street. And then there was a final grandfather provision that if a sign was not capable of being converted to comply with the law by either internal or external regulation, they would be grandfathered. But if there were any further revisions that have to comply with the law.
Yeah, this law was worked on quite a bit by planning board. It was worked on by the task force. It was worked on by other people that probably haven't had a time to see the changes. The changes were a result of the public information meeting that we had, or public hearing we had on this at the last meeting. It might be best if we send this back around to at least give the planning board and the other groups opportunity to review the changes. Maybe they disagree. Maybe they think that it should go back the way it was, or maybe they see other changes.
Okay.
They were the ones that created the changes in the first place. My recommendation is to bring this back to life 4 or 5 weeks down the road after planning board has a chance to review it.
And can we post it on the website so that business isn't...
Oh, that's good. Yeah, there's no particular urgency, so there's no harm in holding.
Now, there was some very, very good comment at that public hearing. There were some people who had some very good ideas, and that's what led to the changes which we did make. That's the purpose of a public hearing. But I do think we should go back to the groups that created the law.
All right, next motion has to do with the River Road Trail, and that is to appoint Wendell as the design professional for that project. And it's important that we do this relatively quickly, and actually that it be done tonight, because there had been so much delay in execution of the contract, not on the town's behalf, but on the New York State Department of Transportation, that we are in danger of this project going dormant unless there is some activity shown within the next 30 days. We did, at the beginning of the year, provide in the appointment resolution for Wendell that they could be involved in engineering services, design services for these types of municipal projects, and at this point in time, rather than going out for proposals, doing anything other than appointing Wendell might destroy the project. So it really should be approved.
Does anybody wish to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
There's a second.
By Larry, second by Art. Anything further on the question?
Yeah, Bernie's in the back. I just asked,
Is he worth-
didn't we just get the contract from New York State like less than a month ago or a month ago?
Actually, 2 weeks ago tonight.
Yeah. So it's like rush, hurry up and wait, and now we're getting put behind the 8 ball because they're waiting on us for 2 weeks.
A couple of days after we got the contract, they said, you better go ahead and make the appointment and show progress by having some kind of a voucher within 30 days or you're in difficulty and the project is dormant. It was ridiculous.
So if we take action tonight, then what kind of a voucher do we have to have submitted?
We're going to have a kickoff meeting, and then in that kickoff meeting will be a consultation service, so charged so we can utilize that.
Okay.
Thank you, Bernie.
Anything else on the question? All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That is approved.
Next motion is to settle the town's claim against North Tonawanda Little League for gym floor damage for $4,000, which does make the town whole for the cleanup costs and makes a contribution for refinishing as well. And that's recommended by our recreation director.
So move.
Okay, moved by Art. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Gil. It's always best to settle agreements by negotiating them out. You never know what's going to happen when you go to court.
do those go into the general fund or into the rec department's budget?
I think that's general fund money.
Which is rec. Recreation is, at some point in time, if a fund runs out of money, especially the fund for repairs, contractual repairs, this money can be used for that, should we run out of money in the recreation line. A lot of this money was already expended. That's what we're doing,
Sure.
is we're reimbursing that which was expended.
Yep.
I had a couple of comments. I thank Mike, our insurance carrier, Judy Ponzi, and Bob O'Toole for getting one less thing off his things to do list.
That's right. One less thing
This makes the town whole. I mean, all of our expenses, everything that we had from Service Pro coming up and sucking all the water out of the floors, all of our expenses are covered with this settlement. So, you know, we're not short any money on this settlement. It covers all of our expenses.
Okay, anything further? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That's approved.
All right, the next motion is at the request of the highway superintendent and his recommendation to ratify the hiring of Timothy Steiner and Frank Pavicic as laborers in the highway department. Oh, yes, you want to start starting July 6th, did you say?
After the holiday. Okay. Whatever that date is after.
What was that, Bob? What was the start date?
The Monday after the holiday, and
Holiday is Saturday, so it would be the 6th.
the 6th, okay.
I have a question, Paul. Was this advertised on the website?
The website and the paper.
It was on the website. I looked, I never saw it, so maybe I'm looking on the wrong spots.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Gill. Do we have a second?
They're both town residents, I'm assuming?
Yes. If they're New York State driver's license in their application. But there actually isn't, you guys are aware there is no residency law within the town. You guys did away with that a long time ago.
Right.
Right, there's a preference, but the actual residency they did do away with.
And we'll do the pre-employment physicals before they begin.
I do understand it, I'm just asking a question.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Anything further on the question?
No, we don't need to put in the motion, Bob, because it's part of the hiring practice to do a drug test and a physical, so that's...
That's standard practice. We do that with all full-time employees.
Okay, if nothing further, then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
All right, the next motion is my recommendation to amend the town's personnel manual so that, to provide that all newly hired employees should be regarded as introductory or probationary for the first 100 days of continuous employment. The reason for this is that we had changed the rules with respect to full-time employees the last time we revised the personnel manual, but for whatever reason we didn't amend it for part-time employees. So there's a quirk that the part-time employees would have, temporary employees would have a shorter probationary period than full-time. So this just puts them even.
Okay, you mentioned introductory versus probationary. It actually says introductory in the motion. Are we talking introductory or are we talking probationary?
They're referred to as introductory employees in the town's personnel manual. You could call them probationary as well, but defined term as introductory in the town's personnel manual.
Wage and salary schedules, call it probation.
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't we just put probationary / introductory? I think that'll clear that up. I think that makes good sense.
Can you be both?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Anything else? We don't have a motion at this point, so does anybody wish to make this motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Larry with the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. Anything further? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
All right, next one is to designate somebody as town attorney effective June 30th and to authorize the supervisor, which is misspelled, to execute any required documents regarding the terms of employment.
Is that because you're gone?
Yeah, yes.
We hope to have a town attorney by then.
I'll make a motion
I can't do this. Okay, Randy?
I'll make a motion that we appoint Matt Brooks on a retainer basis for the remainder of the calendar year.
We're a little early on that, I think, right?
Well, effective June 30th.
Okay, so Randy's making the motion to hire Matthew Brooks. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Gil. Okay, moved and seconded. Anything on the question?
So basically, it's the motion that's listed here, except, ends December 31st, 2015.
Correct.
Okay.
They're annual appointments anyway. That would just be clearing up that it is an annual. Okay. Anything further on the question?
I think this is taken a little bit out of order. We're discussing Greenway Trail and Ad hoc Committee. There was time to come back to it. We didn't get a chance to really discuss our options for attorney.
And you have the opportunity of discussing that. There is a motion and a second on the floor, Art. You have the floor if you wish.
I feel that there could be another alternative here in the way of Michael Norris and his firm. Mike has 2 or 3 years experience with the town of Lockport. He is, and then let me clarify for a moment, in no way, shape, or form is this any reflection on Matt. They're both highly qualified attorneys, and we would be happy to have either one. I just feel that there is a stronger firm behind Mr. Norris's group, and I think I would like to see him considered, his group, considered for the position of town attorney. Attorney for the town.
Thank you. Anything further? Does anybody else have anything that they wish to say? If not, Kathy, let's do a roll call on this, please.
Councilman Hellwig?
Yes.
Councilman Gerbeck?
No.
Supervisor Cliff?
Yes.
Councilman Retzlaff?
Yes.
Councilman Doucette?
Yes.
Okay, that motion is approved. We have our new town attorney.
Okay. Next motion is to confirm Supervisor Cliff's declaration of an emergency condition at the community center and to suspend the town's procurement policies so that the building can be repaired on an emergency basis. I don't know if there's any specific contractor you want to designate an amount yet, or?
There is no amount. That's the problem, is we
Okay.
don't know how damaged it is, so I'd like to go ahead and make that motion. I did declare the emergency just so we could continue working. There are some structural issues caused by water damage because of the ice this winter. There's 2 particular areas that took a pretty good beating. We had to shut down the main room, which causes a lot of problems for a lot of groups and a lot of families. It won't take a whole long time, but if we go out and take the time to go out for bid and try and put a price on it, first of all, there's no way to know how much damage is until you open it up and see what's inside. We just know that it's there and it is somewhat severe. We can't give an exact amount of money. That's why we have to suspend the practice. We don't know how much it's going to be. Schwager Construction was brought in to do the initial work, and as soon as they opened up the wall, we found out that the project became a lot bigger than originally anticipated. We may have to take out not only inside walls, but the outside walls as well in 2 spots. So it's not undoable, and it will be fine when it's done, but it is going to be a little bit of a project, and we need to get it taken care of. So I have a motion. Does anybody else want to second that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. Anything further on the question? And all in favor of this, handling this as an emergency condition signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
All right, the next one, actually, there's some couple of supplemental motions. The first one is simply housekeeping, and that's CRA has, I guess they've merged into GHD Consulting Services. So they have requested that their contracts for townwide drainage and professional engineering services be assigned to GHD, and that the town supervisor be authorized to execute the assignment agreement. The agreement really is just a name change. It also specifically provides the same people will be involved, so it's just housekeeping.
Does anybody want to make this motion?
So moved.
Moved by Randy. Do we have a second? I'll go ahead and second. CRA is merging with GHD, which is actually a foreign firm. It's I think, Australian firm, if I recall, a large one. And putting the two firms together, they feel that they can better serve the needs of the world in terms of engineering. Anything further on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
All right, final motion. I'm going to change it a little bit to be a little bit more specific, and that is from the highway superintendent. It's to authorize the highway department to purchase 120 feet of 24-inch pipe for drainage between 6775 and 6781 Eric Road for a cost of approximately $2,000. That would be subject to the property owners executing a permanent drainage easement. And then the second motion, well, I guess you want to do these as
I
two?
would break it up.
Okay, let's break it up. So we'll stop right there.
So this would be for approximately $2,000 of pipe if they give us an easement on this area of Eric Road.
Correct.
I'll make that motion. It should be noted that we met last week with the Drainage Committee, and that was with Paul and our CRA, Dave Britton, and this was recommended by both. And so I'll make that motion that we proceed.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Final motion to authorize Highway Department to, to purchase a 24-inch WASTOP check valve for the Thornwood subdivision for $10,157. And I do understand that you've got three bids on this?
No, I didn't, because I believe at the time that was a patented.
Oh, it's a sole source? Okay.
But I am going to double check that to make sure before I do purchase it.
So there's no problem in pushing this off for a couple of weeks?
If you want me to hold off for a couple of weeks, that's fine. I'll just research and make sure that this is a sole source.
All right. Okay.
That was actually,
Or state bid, of course.
right, well, that was actually recommended by CRA also, that type of backbone.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. We are going to probably want to do an executive session at the end of the meeting. Probably won't be any business to conduct after that executive session. We'll go now on to board member items, starting with Councilman Helwig.
I think I had most of my questions answered. I talked about the pipeline earlier, and I just want to congratulate Bob O'Toole on his well-deserved retirement.
Thank you.
Okay. Art?
Nothing.
Gil?
Add on to Larry, I'd just like to thank Bob for everything he's done, knowing him probably, 30 years?
Long time.
Good job, Bob. Thank
Thanks.
you very much.
Thanks.
That's it.
Randy?
We're having an agricultural focus group meeting tomorrow night, and then we'll be taking the summer off, and anybody wishes to attend, 7 o'clock at the community center. That's it.
Great. Speaking of the community center, the two small rooms are still open and available. We had to block off the big room only. So I guess Randy must be in one of the small rooms. I do have, one interesting thing. The Niagara Sanitation Landfill, I was invited over there, and they are now completely done with pulling out the Love Canal waste. It did prove to be a lot more than they had originally anticipated. There was a lot more waste in there, and it went as far down as 30 feet deep. But they did pull it out. It's all trucked out of here, and it's in the process of being destroyed, never to return. They are in the next step for them is to start cutting everything down, removing the tent, removing the stone, and reseeding or whatever it is they intend to do to finish off the ground prior to leaving. So it's very nice to know that all of that material is gone. And that's all I really have at this point. We do have a meeting on June 29th. It's a public information meeting. We're going to have to hold it here. We originally intended to have it at the community center. I don't think it'll be finished by that time, so we'll hold this meeting here. This is on the potential rezoning of Niagara Falls Boulevard. The planning, not the planning board, it was the comprehensive master plan or task force worked on this for several months, several meetings. We had a consultant from Wendell working on this whole proposal, coming up with different ideas. It is time to go out and get ideas from the business owners and the homeowners on Niagara Falls Boulevard to actually look at the maps the way that it's being suggested. This is not ready to be done. This is a matter of a public information hearing to hear what people have to say. It's going to affect some businesses. It's going to affect some homes. So we're hoping we get as many people here as we can, 6 o'clock next week, next Monday here. There will be a presentation at approximately 7. Drew Riley will make a presentation on this project, explain a little bit about the maps and why we're considering these changes. So we hope to have as many people from the Niagara Falls Boulevard area there as is possible. We have a meeting on July 13th. As of right now, it's only 7:30. We don't have any preliminaries. We'll go back to public input. Is there anybody who wishes to speak? Yes, Julie.
I just have two quick questions. One, will we be able to get insurance money for the community center? And two, with the Niagara Sanitation landfill, will that be considered inhabitable after they've cleaned it up? So if there wants to be a development, will there be allowed to be one? And two, would that have to be disclosed to anybody that wanted to build there?
I would think it would have to be disclosed. It's actually town-owned property.
Okay.
The landfill itself is town-owned property. It is not able to be sold. It's not able to be used for anything unless you did some serious testing and got approval from DEC. It's still on the DEC listing of hazardous sites. That has not changed. Getting rid of the Love Canal waste is a major project, but it's a minor part of the overall landfill. The other parts of the landfill still have PCBs. There are other materials in there that may or may not have to be remediated. That's yet to be determined.
So is there a buffer around that area in terms of what would be allowed to be developed in that area? Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of, okay, so the land?
I don't believe there's an actual buffer. And in fact, the Palatine Fathers area, that church is very, very close to where the landfill was, where this material was. If you were in the parking lot back there, it was a short walk. From the people on Forbes, it was a short walk, this area. But it's a long drive to get there. Takes quite a while to drive there, but it's very easy to walk there.
And then the insurance money for the community?
The insurance for the money, we have asked. We have had, Mike, we had a visit by an adjuster, correct?
Not recently. He came out months ago for the interior repairs, but they've been contacted recently now. We found that the structure, the substrate, compromised. They're going to come back out.
Yeah. So we have to effect some repairs. We also probably are going to have to do some changes or improvements in the roofing area. We asked Wendell to take a look at that to see if there's anything we can do to stop this from happening again. Basically, it seems to be caused by too much heat in the attic area. There's a melting, freezing, then melting, then freezing, then melting, causing too much of a...
I did talk to Judy Ponzi today about the situation. She said Stan Swoger's been over there talking to her, so our insurance person and the contractor are working hand in hand so that, you know, this thing will go through as an insurance claim, and she gave me all indications that it was probably gonna be passed through as an insurance claim, so.
Right. Good question. Anybody else? Dave?
Just closing remark, I'd like everybody to know that on 30th, Tuesday next week, our new radio system will be coming online. We're throwing the switch at 9 a.m. Tuesday morning. All police, fire agencies, and utility services will be online by approximately 7 o'clock that night. So after 3 years and $10 million, we're going to have one of the most state-of-the-art best radio systems in the country. Thanks for everybody's patience.
Thank you. Okay. Kathy?
Our new town website is up and running. It was launched last week, and I'd like to thank all the employees and department heads for their participation, with a special thanks to Mike Rinaldi, Jamie Irving, and Don Wallace. They really spent a lot of time putting that together. So it looks great. We're getting a lot of good feedback. Any suggestions or ideas, please let us know. But go to the website and take a look at it. It's beautiful.
Ed?
We were going to have the results of the 2014 audit presented at 7:15 on the 13th.
I need to defend that. Okay. Okay, you got that, Kathy? As long as Kathy has it, we're all set. Good. Anybody else?
Just to mention, earlier I heard some board members, we have a meeting scheduled too for July 27th. And I think there were some vacation issues. I don't know whether you want to maybe move that meeting or turn it into a bill page so that we can still conduct business, but is that something maybe you want to bring up maybe at the next meeting, whether or not we want to change the structure of that meeting?
It's a good idea. I think we had one sure vacation and one question mark. You'd be down to 3 people, so you could conduct business. That's something we probably should take a look at by the next meeting. Okay then. I would entertain a motion to go into executive session. This would be for possible contractual issues with the town. We would want the contractor there, as well as the board, our town attorney, and Kathy, if you can be there as well. If there's nothing further, then I will adjourn this until